concerning today determines what is awaiting you tomorrow.
I push you forward. I push you forward.
You are not just surviving because you have flesh and blood, but because you are born of God.
This is a generation that comprises of two categories of persons. The ones who receive him and the ones who receive him not. But those that receive him, they are born of God. And those who do not receive him, they are born of the flesh, of the blood, and of the will of man. So this world comprises of two sets of persons. The ones who are born of God, and another set are these ones who are born of the will of man, of blood, and of flesh. This is one generation that the altars of darkness is being multiplied more than the altars of God. There are churches everywhere, but in the midst of this church, there are scarcity of genuine altar. This is that generation where God is not happy. When he looks at the church, there is scarcity. They are accountable. Very few men who are his servants, who are willing to dethrone the altars of darkness. In the days of Elijah, Elijah was one man whose ministry caused havoc to the realm of darkness. Elijah was a man whose existence was a threat to the kingdom of darkness. We are in a generation where there are scarcity of Elijah. A generation where there are scarcity of Moses. Moses was one man who existed in his days. When he existed, the altars of the enemies was dealt with. Moses made sure that he derode all the servants, the magicians in the land of Egypt. This is one generation where there are scarcity of genuine Moses. God is not happy because there are scarcity of genuine men of God whose assignment is to bring down a demonic altar and prepare the church for eternity. This is the generation. God is not happy. What is your assignment? What have you done? When was the last time the devil fetched your presence? When was the last time Satan cried because you spoke? When was the last time the witches were dealt with because you went on your news? When was the last time that an occultic man or occultic woman surrendered to God because you came close? You see, this is what I'm talking about. This is that generation where there are scarcity of genuine servants of God who are ready to dethrone the altars of darkness and preparing the saints for eternity. So God is not happy with this generation. It's not like the generation of Daniel. In the days of Daniel, Daniel operated in a high realm where even all the Habalis, all the astrologers, and all the magicians of that city were under Daniel. They surrendered to his God. They surrendered to his spiritual leadership. He was not a magician. He wasn't practicing herbalist or whatever it is, or witchcraft. But yet in his days, the voice of the magician, the voice of the astrologers were silent because he survived. Because that was his generation. Because a man like him lived. Today, we have a generation where there are herbalists and then there are witch doctors and there are witches, there are wizards, and nobody is causing any havoc to them. God is not happy. God is not happy. Those who are meant to kick the false prophet are quiet. Those whose voice is meant to deal with the devil are not saying anything. Those that are meant to roar and the devil goes on his knee are quiet. A generation where genuine men of God are relaxed and fake men of God are excelling. A generation where the genuine men of God cannot run the false prophet out of business. In the days of Elijah, he ran the prophet of Baal out of business. He slaughtered them like chicken. He said, "Oh God, confirm today that I am your servant. Let fire answer from heaven." Genuine fire came down and Elijah slaughtered them, ran them out of business, sent them back to hell where they belong. But this generation, the genuine men that carries the genuine oil are relaxed. They are celebrating for service, celebrating overflow, relaxed and comfortable with the little flocks they have. But in the days of Elijah, it was not like that. For as long as the prophets of Baal were in existence, Elijah could not hold his peace until he finished them. This is the generation where the genuine men of God are relaxed, comfortable. For as long as they run 10 services in a day, they are okay. Arriving so soon and feel comfortable where they are. They have not seen any need to roar at the devil because they felt their territory is secure. Relaxation. Men who are meant to shout are quiet. Some who are seated here carry a very high apostolic mantle. But today, they can't even cough. Some seated here carry a very high prophetic unction. But they are like chicken in the hands of the devil. This is that generation. And God is not happy. Because the men whose voice is meant to terrorize the terrorists are not saying anything. And for as long as they are quiet, the devil is gaining ground. The devil is gaining ground. What will I do? There are lots to be done. There are lots to be done. Can we have that kind of spirit? That kind of spirit that work in Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who decided and said, apart from Jehovah, no, we can't submit to another God. We can't be here and idle we reign. We can't be here and the business of idolatry will flourish. We have to stop this nonsense. And if we can't stop it, it is better we die. If God deliver us, fine. If God refuse to deliver us, no problem. But me, Shadrach, Abednego, we cannot stand this generation that celebrates idol. Where are the men that have such spirit in this generation? God is not happy because there are scarcity of these men. Today, we have people who come to church who are so relaxed because of the little they have. And what God wants to give you is more than what you think you are holding on